Have you spent time getting your graphics together and really wanting to level up your presentations in Zoom by using a virtual camera, only to discover that the quality for the other people on your call just isn't as good? It's a little bit blurry. People can't see everything that you put together. So obviously you can go towards having larger print that's easier to see, but really it would be nice if there were ways to have that higher quality image without necessarily having to have a business or an enterprise Zoom account and requesting that HD. And there are some tricks. Now, today we're going to talk about a hack. And I will say, this is a hack. It is not perfect. It's not without its problems, but with some little testing, I have seen that it is a potential option. So what is the hack? Well, essentially, there are devices that use Zoom Rooms. So usually when we're on a computer, we download a Zoom meeting client, but there's also something called Zoom Rooms. And there are specific devices that are compatible with Zoom Rooms and that use Zoom Rooms technology. And one of those pieces of technology is the Facebook portal. So there are actually many companies that make Zoom Room compatible devices. For example, workplace Zoom Room devices that you would set up in a conference room or a meeting room so you can have remote meetings. There are companies like Lenovo and Logitech and HP, just to name a few. But there are also options for your home. So if you look up Zoom Rooms for home, you will see that companies like Facebook and Google and Amazon have all jumped on board to try and facilitate ways that people can have a Zoom meeting with a portable or a smaller device. So I decided when I saw a sale on the Facebook portal last week that I would give this a try. I have seen it tested before and I've seen it work where it boosted everyone's video quality on Zoom. So I decided, what the heck, let's test it and let's tell you if this actually works or not. If you're joining me live right now, I would love to know if you have tried this or if you have seen this in action. Maybe you didn't have it, but someone joined a meeting using one of these Zoom Room devices and you saw the quality change. So I would love to hear if anyone here has experienced that before. So what I have done is I've got this, I don't want to say little setup, but I'm going to take you through generally what's going on today. So I have a Zoom meeting going on. So I'm running the meeting from my main computer. So this is my iMac with my second monitor. I've joined the meeting from my laptop and I have that connected. So I'll be able to show you what this looks like. I've joined from my iPad to make sure that there are at least 3 people joining this call because that impacts the resolution. And then we are going to join using this here. So this is the Facebook portal and this is the 10-inch version. And you can see if you look at the back that it's got a little stand. You can either have it vertical or you can have it horizontal and it will update and have a horizontal. So those are the options that you have there. It has a built-in camera. The camera actually can follow you. So if you are, let's say I just was having a conversation with a family member using the video chat feature, I can walk around and the camera will actually stay with me, although I have not tested that a lot. And it has a microphone and you can actually switch these off completely. So I can hide the camera, I can disactivate or deactivate the microphone, and then I can turn those back on when I want to use them. So that's a quick peek at the actual device that I will be using today. And the way I have it set up, I have not joined the meeting yet. So what happens is we have a Zoom meeting that is going on right now. I'm going to show you the resolution currently. And I am then going to join the meeting with this device and we will watch and see what happens to the video quality. The other thing I wanted to say because I wanted to avoid one of those infinite loop issues is that I am using OBS as well. So I'm streaming with Ecamm as I usually do, which allows me to change my scenes in camera. But for the purpose of the Zoom call, I am using OBS. So if we take a look, I'm going to show you my laptop. So I have my laptop connected right now. And if I go over to the laptop, this is what you will see. So there's a delay, which I appreciate. That's awkward. We'll just have to deal with it. So right now I am sending this OBS virtual camera to Zoom And this is what it looks like on the laptop as someone watching. And so you can see right now that I have a sidebar here, but I also put together a picture-in-picture. And if you take a look at this right now in the meeting, you will see that I have a little screen share. This is actually an image that I took from the Facebook portal device page. And if you look at this, I don't know about you, you can let me know. It's not great quality. I find this blurry on my device. You can see right now what I am seeing on my laptop, and it's not great. You can still see it. You could probably make it out, but it's a little bit fuzzy, and this would be hard on most people's eyes. Now, the other thing that I want to show you is the actual resolution. So if you have never done this before, when you are in a Zoom meeting, you can actually pull up your resolution. So I'm going to show you how to find that. And we're going to go on my main computer. If I share my screen and I go into Zoom and open preferences, I know it's a little bit cut off just because of the way that the screen is shared. But if you can see in the top left corner, I'm opening my Zoom preferences. I then go to statistics on the left-hand menu. So I go to statistics, and then there's video. So it might open on overall, but you want to click on video. And so I'm actually, because I don't have my camera on for the other people in the meeting, I'm not receiving anything, but you can see right now that the resolution that I am sending out to other people is 640 by 360. So that is the quality that's going out. And if we take a look, we can do the same thing here. So if I go to my Zoom preferences and I pop down to statistics and video, you can see I'm also receiving 640 by 360. So that is the current resolution. And I can see a question here from Patrick. What's Kat's evil twin's name? Well, it's just evil twin. Just evil twin. So this is the resolution. So you can actually see what is coming and what is going out. So if you have never seen that, you can always open that at any point in a Zoom meeting. Before I go on, I do want to say that if you play around with this, so take a look at when you go into speaker view versus gallery view, that affects what you will send and receive. Also, if you are in full screen versus if you're lower down. So for example, often on a Zoom call on my computer, I'll actually compress people into smaller windows towards the top of my computer so that I can then see if I'm taking notes or I'm working on something. That will impact what's coming and going. So you do want to try to have it as big as possible, and to get a better resolution, usually want to be in speaker view, which is what I am in right now on these devices. So hopefully that makes sense. Now we're going to do the test. So let's actually go back to, I'm going to close the settings here. Let's go back to my MacBook to see the quality. So let's take another look. This is, we've got two scenes that I've set up. So one is just having a sidebar, which you can read this. It says testing the quality and resolution of the virtual camera. It's readable, but the quality, it's a little bit grainy around the edges. It's just a little bit blurry. It's not very crisp. If we take a look at the picture-in-picture, you'll see same thing. You could technically make it out, but that small print, really, really difficult to see. So I'm going to leave it on this screen. I'll do one quick thing over here with the Facebook portal. I just want to make sure I don't share any private information, like my PIN. So if we go over to my overhead shot, I can't pull this too far away, but you can see that I've opened up Zoom. So there is a Zoom app that is set up on this Facebook portal device. So I'm going to click on join, and it's pretty hard to see. There's an option for you to join a meeting. So I'm going to go here. We're going to watch this screen as I join from this Zoom Room compatible device. So I've already got it set up so it's quick to join. I'm going to enter my password and let's watch the quality. So I'm going to confirm on the portal. I'm going to join without video because nobody needs to see that angle. So now I've just joined the meeting, and let's take a look at the quality. Do you notice a difference? Let me know in the chat. I'm looking down. So I'm actually not seeing it right now on my laptop, and what you're seeing too. That quality does not actually look great to me. Let's change. This is a sneak peek at the pros and cons. A con is that I find it's inconsistent. However, let's go to my main device and we look at these settings. You will now see what I'm sending, it has gone up. So before I showed you that it was 640 by 360, now it is sending 1280 by 720. And you'll see the frames per second has changed slightly. So but even though, yeah, I agree. Right now it's not looking like it's changed. So let's see if I change the view, I wonder. Because it sure doesn't look like it changed. Let's check over here. So let's go back to this, which I agree, it doesn't look consistent. Let's open the preferences again. Yeah, okay, so it's still receiving that lower amount. So this is one of the cons, it's inconsistent. Let's go into full screen. So I'm already in the speaker view and let's do full screen. And let's do that. Do we notice a difference here? Let's open up the settings and let's see if that changed anything. Aha, okay. Putting it into full screen now is receiving a resolution of 1280 by 720 on the computer. And if we put this away, does it look clearer? And then let's do we'll toggle. So does this look any different to you? I think this looks a little bit crisper. It's not quite as blurry. This looks like a higher quality print. And then if we go here to this page, I think it is a little bit better. Okay, I'm seeing a few of you are saying that there's a difference. So Scott is saying that he sees a difference. Paul is also saying that it is better with this one. Robert's also seeing it. So what I did here is I went into full screen. So now what I'm sending out, you can actually see this in the higher quality when it's in full screen. So that's what it looks like. And this is one of the cons, is that I have found that it's inconsistent. So yesterday when I got the portal in the morning, and it was right before I was running one of my monthly student Q&A calls. And I co-opted the call to test it out, and everyone present was very kind to let me try this out. And it did work. At first we didn't really notice, but then we actually decided to close the meeting and restart without the device. And as soon as we all came back, that's when we saw the degradation in the quality. It was a lot harder to see. Now, when you actually screen share, that is still the highest quality and the highest resolution, but it's actually not that different than when you can get this resolution that you just saw. So there are pros and cons to this, but one of the interesting things about this is even when you leave the meeting, the resolution stays. So let's take a look. Let's go to my second screen here. So right now the portal has joined. And we are going to now leave the meeting and watch what happens. This is where it has been a little bit inconsistent. So if I go to the portal and I leave this meeting, you will now see that the portal is gone. So this is now not part of the meeting anymore. But if we take a look at the resolution here, it has not changed or gone down. It has actually remained the same. And if we go to my laptop, you'll still see the quality. It is easier to read. And if we take a look at the stats, you will see that I'm still receiving this. So the reason that I was drawn to this was the fact that I could use this as my little assistant. In other words, if I am hosting a meeting and I want higher quality image and I want to use the virtual camera and I want it to be crisper, I can join my own meeting at the start, boost the quality, and then hop off the call with the portal and resume my call. So I don't worry about the portal anymore. It's sort of I want to make a joke like portal to better quality, but you just got to open the door to better quality and then you can turn this off or leave the meeting and then that resumes. And if we check back, you can see it's still it has stayed at the 1280 by 720. So it's keeping that quality without having to be on the call the whole time. So that's how it works. So I want to just quickly take a look at the chat to see the reaction to this. So Homesick Mac, I'm on a 34-inch curved monitor, so full screen on this is scary in Zoom. Yeah, I get that. That's totally fair. And then seeing the white on red is very clear. Okay, so that's that sidebar of seeing that. Yeah, that was a lot. I noticed that was nice and crisp. And it wasn't bad before. If you're using a virtual camera with the default resolution, if you have large print, people will be able to read it. But there's something that's nice about having that crisper quality. And let's see. Okay, yeah, also the wording is sharper than before, so there is a difference. And okay, let's see. Good point. Try to go back to smaller. So if I go out of full screen, so let's try that. Let's go back to my laptop here, and I'm going to exit full screen. So it's still large. Oh, it went back down. Now, if I go back to full screen, it comes back. So that does make a difference. So I think this is actually really helpful for you as a host to know that if you are going to use this trick and you're sending out, and let's say you are sending out a higher quality signal, you could tell your participants that for the best experience and for the best quality, put this in full screen. Not everyone is going to have the luxury of doing that. If someone's just watching on maybe a laptop and they want to be taking notes, being in full screen might not be an ideal way if they're using another application. So that's something to keep in mind. But it's nice to know that you could say, if you're having trouble reading this screen while I'm on this screen, put it into full screen and you can always pop back out of that. So that's a factor. Thank you so much, Homesick Mac, for that recommendation. I think that is okay. So here's another question. My team license gives us full HD. So what would I be getting? I don't know that I would do this. And I'll kind of summarize my thoughts on this option. If you have a business, education, or enterprise account that has the 1080 turned on, now I have heard from some people that it doesn't always work. So they have the 1080 turned on, it's enabled, Zoom has allowed it because you have to request 1080 or even 720 if you just kind of enable that. I would just test it, run a meeting, look at your stats, what is it actually sending, and then see if that is consistent. It should be consistent. I would also reach out to Zoom if you're not getting that, but you may have to toggle into full screen or into speaker view in order to get the full benefit of sending out that resolution. So I would not necessarily, this is the reason that I went with this hack for me personally, is that I'm an individual. So the licenses for Zoom, it makes the most sense for me to have the Pro plan, because if I wanted to go up to a business plan, which is sort of the first threshold of being able to access the 1080 HD, I would need to buy at least 10 licenses. Well, that doesn't make any sense. And someone actually mentioned last week after my call, when I was talking about the resolution, there are group buying plans. So I could pay into there are group buying plans for entrepreneurs. So if you are like me and you're working for yourself, you can actually be part of a group buying plan where you get access to, I believe it's the enterprise or maybe the business plan. So I would have access to the 1080, but there are restrictions on what you can do. For example, I can't run the Zoom apps because it's like I'm buying into a company plan where someone else is administering the plan. So I don't have full control over that license. And that to me, there's always a trade-off. So there's definitely, I would have access to a larger number of participants in my rooms, the slightly higher quality, but I would not be the administrator. So you want to trade off those things. So for me, I would rather pay for a one-time purchase of the portal, which for me in Canada, it was $149. In the US right now, this version, the 10-inch portal, is on sale for $99. And if you think about that one-time purchase, then to me, that offset the idea of just being able to boost the quality on my calls that I'm running and just enter. The other reason I was intrigued by it is for talking with family and friends, because I can just put this in my living room or my kitchen and I can have a video call with people and not have to, and I can just kind of walk around the room and talk to them instead of before we kind of sit with my iPad and kind of squeeze in on the couch and try and have a conversation. This one has some benefits on the video conversation side as well. I'm going to take a look quickly at, see if there's anything else. Can't you do the same thing by requesting the HD feature from Zoom? So it limits. So I have group HD turned on my Pro account. That's the max I can get. I reached out to Zoom. I asked for 1080. They said, you can upgrade to a business account. And I said, no, thank you. So there are limitations, but I find that group HD does not, I have it toggled on. And this meeting theoretically should have been in that 720 and it wasn't. So it's not, they say it's a thing, but when you actually look at your stats, it's not actually always a thing. And okay, which portal device you have? Yes, definitely. So let's go back to this overhead view. So this is the 10-inch, oh, I knocked over my tracker. So this is the 10-inch portal. I actually have some of my own photos. It's because it also acts as a picture, like a, what's the word? A digital frame, although right now it's not because now it's on the apps. So this is the 10-inch. There's also I think it's an 8 or 7, the mini. And that one was actually more, it was either more expensive or it was just barely. So there was a bigger sale going on the main one, the 10-inch one. So that is what I have. And if we take a look at, if we go to my computer, let's take a look here. Now I mentioned, MacBook. So you can see here, and it seems to have kept most of its quality. So of the 4 different types, there is the TV, which I believe that would also work, but it would have to be hooked up to a TV. There's the Portal Mini, the Portal, and then the Portal Plus, which is actually on its own stand. These are Canadian prices because I'm in Canada, so my website was set to this, but I did peek at the other site and on the US price because I wanted to check what it was in another country, and it was $99 for this version that I have here. And the sale is limited. It ends in September. I'm not sure exactly when. Okay, so yeah, I'm still getting used to learning Ecamm for Zoom, and now this. This is a nice boost. I know a lot of both Ecamm and OBS users who want to add the visuals to their meetings, whether you have an agenda or you've got, you got your lower thirds, or if you have a picture-in-picture or having a side-by-side, which I use all the time. I love using those, and the screen share option does work. It's nice for a presentation because you go into full screen and you'll have that high resolution, but this is a nice way if you are interacting and you don't want to be in screen share mode, you'd like to be in a different mode, then this is a nice option for people to be able to actually see your virtual camera, and you can spotlight yourself so that the focus does stay on you, because if you are hosting, if you are not hosting the meeting, maybe you could join yourself and maybe you could join with the portal into another person's meeting, and it actually boosts the quality of the other person's meeting as well. But again, as we saw, the full screen versus not full screen does make a difference. So will this have the same effect if you are not using a virtual camera? So it will actually still boost the quality. So when I first saw this, it was a friend of mine, we were on a call together, and he had one of the Facebook, he had the one that was on a stand, and he joined the call. It was the two of us, he joined with the third, and it bumped up to the high quality, and we could just see each other's faces on a better quality. So it just made the image crisper. So it was nice. And so I think if you have a really nice setup and you want it to be seen and to be clear, then that would also just make it a more crisp and clear Zoom call. And it does it for everyone. So I joined a meeting yesterday with another colleague, and it definitely, all of a sudden, her image was really, I could see the plants in the background. It was really beautiful. So, I mean, there are some benefits, but is that worth the time that it takes to join the meeting, which is one of the one of the cons, which I will summarize the pros and the cons. Okay. Can you keep the portal logged in? Oops. So that the quality stays up. So the quality still stays up even when the portal's gone. So if we go back to my second monitor, I'm still sending out a 1280 by 720. Also, I'll just emphasize, this is not in full screen right now. So if I was in full screen, let's try. So if I go view full screen, it's the same. So it made a difference for the laptop. It does not seem to make a difference. Let's go exit full screen. It seems to be staying at that higher resolution. So I don't think you would need to stay on the meeting. The other thing you have to watch for is echo. So if you join, there's no headphone jack for the portal. There is Bluetooth, but honestly, I tried to set up my Bluetooth headphones this morning and it was a little bit, it would connect and disconnect. And I just thought, I don't have time. I don't have time to troubleshoot this. So there's an option apparently to join with Bluetooth, but so far I'm going to give that a failing grade on my experience connecting the Bluetooth headphones to the portal. Also, as a little side note, you can also connect things like Spotify and like music stuff, so you can listen to music from this device as well. Okay, a couple more questions before I go through the pro and con. And okay, you can get HD on the pro plan. You have to request it. So I tried. I got declined. I do know someone else who did successfully get it. They might have talked to someone who was in a good mood that day, but I got the big old no. You can pay us more money if you want 1080. So, okay, Stefan, that's very exciting that you got the Stream Deck. All right, let's go over quickly, and I'll come back to the chat, the pros and cons. So, in my opinion, the pro is that this is a one-time purchase. So I spent 149 Canadian to have a device that I can use at any time to boost the quality, which for me, on the grand scheme of things, when I look at the fact that my business relies on me having a high quality presentation, that to me is a worthwhile investment. And I can use this for other video calls. I can easily port this into other rooms, set it up in my living room, my kitchen, etc., and be able to use it for the other purposes. I also, not gonna lie, I don't mind that when it's sort of in rest mode, it can show my pictures like a digital picture frame. So it's just an added bonus. The other thing that I'm gonna say about this is I like that you don't have to stay in the meeting. You can just boost it and then go. That I find helpful. So those are sort of my personal pros to it. The cons. So one is that it does require a Facebook or WhatsApp account, and I am always cautious about the usage. So, you know, what it does say when you read the fine print, that just like using their other services, they may, you know, customize ads targeted towards you, etc. Now they claim that when you turn off the mic and camera, that those are actually off and you're not using those. So, I mean, it's always a trade-off. So anytime, I personally don't have Alexa or any of those things in my home, because I don't love that concept. I'm a little bit, that's an area that I haven't ventured into. So having this, that is one of those areas. So there's the data, also the inconsistency. So that's another thing that I have found. So yesterday, it definitely boosted the quality, even though it wasn't in full screen yesterday. Whereas when I did this demo today, I needed to change to full screen. And actually, when I tested this morning before going live, it just increased the quality without me going into full screen. So that's inconsistent. And that to me, not great, not great. And the other thing is time. So because it's a tablet type device, you have to tap in the code to join. Now, because I had joined already, so I had already entered in the meeting ID and the password, I was able to find the meeting ID again in the list. When I clicked join, there's a little chevron, so I could just drop down and pick the meeting and just enter the password. But doing that on a tablet, that's just a little clunky. I don't know, I haven't had it long enough. I would like to test if I can set up a Bluetooth keyboard so that I could just type in the code, and I happen to have a spare Bluetooth keyboard. So that's something that I might consider trying with this. But I do find, like, if you're trying to get everything together, having to take a couple of minutes to go open the app, join the meeting, get everything set up, make sure there's no echo, turning down the volume, that's another thing that you have to consider. And if you're just jumping on to get that quality and then going back off, you'd have to account for that time. So this is not going to be the right thing for everyone, for sure. But I wanted to kind of say that those are the things that I personally have found in my experience so far. However, I think for me, I like this option for boosting. I like this hack. And I think I just want to reiterate the fact that it is a hack, meaning we're kind of working around existing software and hardware, that it wasn't designed to do that. And so it could change at a moment's notice. And that's okay because, well, it's a bummer, but that's just the reality. And it's the same thing with people having frustrations of, oh, I set up this virtual camera, but it looks bad in Zoom, and they get really angry. Well, Zoom wasn't designed to always have high quality video. We're sort of hacking it by bringing in a virtual camera. And so I think you just have to be aware of the limitations and the fact that this is a workaround. It's not going to be perfect. It's not how it was designed. It just happens to be a quirk that when someone joins from one of these devices, it boosts the quality. And so you don't, and also the Facebook portal is not the only one. So there are other options. The Alexa, so Amazon and Google both have their own versions of Zoom Rooms, which would probably do the same thing, but I haven't tested it. So don't take my word for it because it's untested. So this is the type of thing that you could consider if you are looking for an alternative to get that higher quality video so that you can add your visuals, up-level your presentations, and really have one that is more professional and engaging.